I'm so glad that Tiffany wanted to do that, because I said, oh Lord, I'm about to get up here and be controversial. Everybody's been so nice today, and, and I'm gonna break this niceness. So, I'm gonna be quick and to the point. I'm grateful to be here with my sisters in transit, and I do respect all these ladies and personally like them. And I give honor to Reverend Anthony and to Al for inviting me, and to all you brothers and sisters here at the NAACP. Walter Fauntroy, at a meeting I went to on the East Coast years ago, he said his definition of politics, and I remember it so clearly. Lord knows I can't remember everything. But I remember his definition so clearly because I was on the Appropriations Committee at the time of the Michigan House of Representatives. And he said that politics is the process for determining who gets how much of what, when, and where. Politics is the process for determining who gets how much of what, when, and where. And I've been in this transit process for a little while, and I'm not here on behalf of DDOT to talk about transit from an operational standpoint. I'm not an engineer or a planner. That's not my history, but I have been working with policy since I've been at the department. And so I'd just like to talk for a brief minute about policy and about Walter Fauntroy's definition of politics. At DDOT, transportation, first of all, let me just say, to me, because I'm not so technical or technically skilled, transportation, my passion in it comes because it's a social right, because it's a privilege to us as citizens, as taxpayers, and we all deserve equal right and equal access to be able to get to where we need to get to live a quality life. And that's where my passion comes from in transportation. I don't get it from studying maps, and I don't get it from understanding all the technical pieces. I just get it because my children need to get from point A to, to get to school. I get it for seniors who need to get to doctor's appointments. I get it because when I was pregnant and out of a car, working for city council, some time ago, my daughter just turned 17, so 17 years ago, I caught public transportation every day through that entire pregnancy. I worked the day that I had her, and it was all that I had to depend on. So my passion comes from us just having the right to get there. Now, my concern with this new RTA, I'll just get right to the point. I'm excited that we have a regional transportation authority because we were the only ones as far as a metropolitan area that didn't have one. But let me just be real frank with you personally, I didn't trust us having one because I didn't trust us doing the right thing, because the bottom line of this whole regional transit authority is I heard things like coordinating efforts and things like that. DDOT and SMART have been coordinating efforts for the last 10 years. We've been meeting together and coordinating. We don't do it very well, I admit, but we've been doing some type of coordinating. The thing that our regional transit authority has the power and authority to do that we all have to pay attention to is what Walter Fauntroy was mentioning, and that is the divvying up of resources, the divvying up of money, the divvying up of capital, whether it's federal or state capital. When Tiffany just stood up here, she talked about the process in which they determined on how to change formula dollars that existed from Coleman Young years, which was a 65-35 split for how we divvied up federal dollars, capital funds. And there probably really, to be honest with you, there wasn't a systematic scientific way for how they came up with that formula. They came up with that formula by going in a room somewhere, and they came out that way. And she's right about the FTA wanting to know from us how we were going to determine how to divvy up those funds going ahead in the future. And they did a finding in SEMCOG's triennial report, and in their finding, they recommended that SEMCOG come up with a recommendation for how to do the formula. SEMCOG called DDOT and all the other agencies into a room, and we talked about different ways of coming up with formula dollars. Our department director was there. I was there at the very first 2 meetings. And the bottom line was, all DDOT said, whatever you do, we're the largest agency in the state. Whatever you do, make sure ridership is a part of it. Because ridership determines a large degree of what we do. And we have the largest ridership, over 100,000 folks per day, whereas our suburban system does not come anywhere close to that. And so we just wanted to make sure that fairness was a part and that ridership was taken into account. The mayor, our director, they all were reassured that FTA, they call it a local issue. It's a local issue. FTA doesn't give a care how we come up with the formula. FTA just wants us to be able to establish a formula. SEMCOG came up with the formula, this SMART study. SMART study, the asset management way of coming up with the study. They called DDOT and asked us to send in all our assets, and they didn't tell us why. So we didn't know they were going to use it to determine the funding formula. So we didn't come up with a full-fledged study of our assets. We didn't hire a consultant, an expert to come in and measure all of our assets, which is what you want to do if folk talking about taking millions of dollars of your money. So when this thing shifted, we went from 65% down to 49%. SMART went to 51%, up from 35% up to 51%. It was a $7 million loss to DDOT. It's the first act of SEMCOG financially being able to distribute funds as the temporary folks who govern, if you will, because the RTA isn't fully effect until October. SEMCOG is in the position to do it. So I just wanted to make sure that we understood that the RTA is an awesome opportunity. And if you were anywhere but in southeastern Michigan, I would be jumping up and down. But because we're in southeastern Michigan, we have to make sure that we pay attention to these resources and how they are divvied up. We have to make sure that we're at the RTA meetings. We have to make sure that we're calling Dr. Ivory in. We're calling Mark Gaffney, and we're calling Lisa Franklin, and we're pulling them together, and that they're building the relationships across the RTA lines. We have to make sure that the real reason for getting the RTA is to improve transit opportunities in southeastern Michigan and not to take DDOT's money, because some folk will beg to differ. And let me just say this about capital funding. When you're messing with capital funding, I guess you would say the FTA allows us some leverage in how to disseminate capital funding. So DDOT uses a certain amount of its capital funding to 20% they allow us to use to help us with our maintenance costs. And so that money, that $7 million that we lost, is going to affect our maintenance program. And then now we're going to have to go, you're shaking your head so you know, now that that's affecting our maintenance program, we're going to have to go to the general fund, of which all of you all know we have a lot of money, right? So because they took $7 million of our capital money, now we have to go to a oppressed general fund to try to get the money. And so it does affect bus riders. It does affect our service. It does affect everyday life at DDOT and for our customers. So I just wanted to make sure, because you're going to see a lot of these type of things. And I respect Tiffany, but at the end of the day, I guess because I'm political and because I've been a former state rep and because I sat on the appropriations committee, the bottom line is these are the tricks and the games that folk play when you have what they want. And DDOT had some capital funding that was programmed out that we had not spent. So everyone came campaign for it, just like they did for years while we were in the legislature. I don't care if it's a workforce development formula or what the formula is. When they're looking for sizable dollar amounts, they come for Detroit because that's where we have the dollars. That's where we have the greater formula dollars. So I just wanted to say that in the future of DDOT, because DDOT has been downsizing some because of cost cutting because of the general fund, we've been downsizing our fleet. We've made a commitment to give SMART 50 of our buses because SMART does have a very serious capital need. It's real, and let me just say this, because we're fair, you know, Reverend Anthony, I don't know, no, I shouldn't go there. I was just gonna say, you know, because parent people, because we always are caring. We're always the caring people, so I don't want to kill SMART. I don't want to hurt SMART. We need to get the jobs out to SMART, and I've said that as a transit advocate for years. We need SMART, and SMART needs DDOT. We all need to work together, but for whatever reason, DDOT is more willing to work with SMART than SMART wants to work with us in regard to finances. They always just want to take money. So it's just the truth. And so, but I would like to say that in the future, DDOT is looking at privatizing, and some of you all may have looked at the RFP, and so there's going to be a privatizing of more DDOT in the future, and there's going to be an effort to look at how to create a dedicated source of funding for the Detroit Department of Transportation, because the RTA, you know, SMART does not want DDOT. They don't want our legacy costs. They don't want us, so people run around afraid that, you know, SMART is going to merge to DDOT and DDOT is going to merge to SMART. That's a more difficult process. But what we have to look at is in this small area is not trying to take one another's money, but looking for increases of money for both agencies to improve transportation throughout southeastern Michigan. Tit for tat won't do. For the last 7 years, we've had $166 million that we've been given in the state to divvy up throughout the state for public transit, $166 million. And so we're all underfunded. That's just the truth. Lansing, Grand Rapids, Detroit, Kalamazoo, Flint, everyone's underfunded. So the key is how to fund the future of public transit, how to move our people, how to keep our young people here in this state and not going tit for tat with one another. So pay attention, people. Politics and the process is who is deciding who gets how much of where. If you want DDOT to maintain what it has, which I will personally say we need to improve our services. We need more money in order to do that. But in order to maintain what we do, which we go pick up people on Mac and Bewick, when other folk won't want to do that. We go pick up our people from some places where I don't know if other folk had the opportunity to do that. They will. So we need to make sure that our funding is not messed with. We need you all active in the RTA. We need your eyes open, your ears open, and we need you using that bullhorn, because believe me, this is just the beginning.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Let us thank again the ladies of transportation, Ms. Tiffany Gunter, Chanel Jackson, Ruth Johnson, and Triette Reeves. Let's thank them one more time there.